So we're into a review video today, and it's the new Mizuno ST230 drive. We've got two models to take a look at. We're going to test them. We're going to provide you with some numbers and see if Mizuno can make a real big dent in this driver category for 2023. Okay, so Mizuno with drivers has never been their strongest point. The irons are obviously super popular, super premium, and are fantastic quality. The drivers are good quality, but they've just never made it into that real big dent in that category, in a very fierce category of the driver department with other big brands out there. But we've got two models we're going to take a look at. We've got the STZ and we've got the STX. So the Z is basically the more neutral version of the two drivers. The weight is in the back in the central position, and then the X is a little bit more of a draw bias. Weight just starts to move a little bit into that heel, and maybe for that golfer who wants to try and reduce that left to right, that slide shot for that right-handed golfer. So we're going to start things off with the STZ. So central position, more of a neutral position of that weight in the back, so a little bit more higher on that MOI. Now, first instincts, as I always do with the driver presented down by the golf ball, I think looks are always important for me. And again, and I say this with probably most launches with a Mizuno, it looks fantastic. It looks high quality, it looks premium. Very glossy. We've got jet black on the front with that carbon showing through on the back section of the crown. Black face, the Rumbird logo as a bit of an alignment aid, sits incredibly square, does look very good. And does sound very solid as well. And that's a nice opening tee shot there, very, very straight, splitting that fairway. We'll take that every day. So reading the information that Mizuno sent over with the launch of this new driver, it's like an evolution of their driver in that ST range. So we saw the ST190, we then saw the ST200, saw the ST220, and obviously now we're in the 230. And it's what they're calling it is they've got this missing piece in this driver. And what they're talking about there is this Cortex chamber. And this is the blue section we can see that sits just behind the club face itself. Now, the idea of this Cortex chamber is it's obviously removing the metal, putting a different type of substance in there, but ultimately it's creating a flex in that club face. So it's ball speed, which Mizuno are really sort of talking about in this new lineup of drivers. Okay, and maybe this is a test. That strike was low on the club face. That could be a real test of that Cortex chamber, that low strike. Maybe that flexing could just help me out a little bit. And yeah, I mean, that was low strike. The ball speed was very similar to that first one, which was a better strike, and it's not bad for that low connection. So we're seeing some similar technology that we've seen on the club face in previous models. We've got that forged titanium club face. Again, obviously that's trying to help as much with that ball speed as possible. And in the Z, we've got this, obviously this carbon in the crown as well as the sole. And in the sole, it runs from the toe all the way through into the heel. What you'll see in the X version, it only sits in that toe section. So obviously that's putting more titanium into the heel, a little bit heavier titanium over composite, helps to keep that sort of weight in the heel from more that draw bias. But for me, there's one real issue with Mizuno drivers that probably is going to have an effect when you're stacking this up into maybe that testing environment against other brands. That's a good shot. And that issue is the club length, the shaft length. So as Mizuno, as standard, is only 45 inches in length, which is sometimes quite refreshing, but I think they've got that wrong a little bit. I feel they should be pitching that shaft length in at typically 45 3/4, like with pretty much all other brands out on the market are coming in as a standard. So you can appreciate clubhead speed is going to have an effect. If the clubhead speed isn't much, the ball speed is going to have the effect. So they're talking all about ball speed, Cortex chamber, but that clubhead speed, if you're pitching this up against another brand at 45 3/4, the clubhead speed is going to be slower. And I'm definitely seeing that, 109, typically I'm in that around that sort of 112 mark. So I'm probably around that 3 mile an hour slower. So my ball speed has got to be slower. It doesn't matter what tech I can get into this driver. Other drivers are pushing their ball speed limits. Mizuno are probably pushing their ball speed limits, but if the clubhead speed's slower, the ball speed is going to be slower. And I understand, 45 inch will help with control of strike, which most golfers would benefit from, but I think they should be coming in a standard 45 3/4 and then offering a 45 inch as a other option. But it's a stunning ball flight, it's a stunning feel, it's a stunning look. And that was a good shot there. That's a good launch there, good spin, and that's a good carry. So it is stacking up there. When I can get my delivery right tuned in, it is stacking up there. It'd be just good to see 45 3/4, squeeze some more club head speed, get that into that ball speed, we're opening up some more yards. Now availability wise in the Z, we've got a 9.5 and a 10.5 lofts. Now obviously we've still got that neck sleeve, so we can move that loft up and down. So we've got some bigger range of movements there, potentially from sort of 7.5 up to 12.5 if you're going to start using that neck sleeve. Oh, that's a good strike, good flight, good launch, great sound, solid feel. That could be a decent drive there. 12 launch, 2.5 spin, decent numbers. It's going to stack up against anything else. It'd be just nice to have that little bit extra length as an option. So we're just going to hit some shots now with the STX. So this is the draw bias version. So as I mentioned, that weighted screw and that sort of lump of weight that we see on the sole is now just positioned a little bit more into that heel side. We've still got the carbon in the sole, but as mentioned, it doesn't venture into the heel as much as we see in the Z. So a little bit more weight, again, is going to get pulled into that heel. Trying to get that club to turn over and trying to get that ball to maybe start more left. So anybody who's a slicer of the golf ball, misses it to the right, as a right-handed golfer, this potentially is a good option. Now, sitting down by the golf ball, again, the look is premium. It doesn't look a draw driver, apart from it just sits a hair toed in, literally a little bit. So it's not aggressive. Oh, that's gone left. That started left. Possibly a little bit of me there, to be fair, but I mean, the driver is obviously going to try and promote a little bit of that as well. Now there is actually a third head, which is the Platinum, so the 230 Platinum. And basically that is an ultralight driver for the slower swing speeds. So it's 30 grams overall weight, is lighter than the STZ, than the X and the X that we are trying here. And the head weight is 7 grams lighter as well. So obviously that's going to help to create some extra sort of club head speed, maybe for the type of golfers who are really trying to maximize that sort of ball speed. And we talked about shaft length, and that one actually does come in a little bit longer in the length of the shaft as standard. So again, that's trying to get that club head speed. It'd be just nice if we saw that throughout all three models, in my opinion. Okay, that was a bit of a toey one with the X, but it's flown very, very straight. Take that as a slight miss hit. That's a nice strike. Pretty neutral ball flight. Availability wise in the X, so now it comes in a 9.5 loft, 10.5 and 12. Again, you've got some adjustability there, so there's quite a few options in that draw bias driver. Let's just check some numbers out. And then we look at the numbers, and to be honest, pretty solid numbers now. I know club head speed is down, as I've explained, with that shaft length. So 109 into 160 ball speed, launch 11, good. One got a little bit low in the face, you can see at 8 there. Spin nice and controlled that 2,500 there, so is there a need of that low spin model in there? Probably not. I would suggest, you know, you could obviously dial that in a little bit with shaft as well to really pull that down a little bit lower if you needed to. Distance wise, 271, run out just under 310. So some decent solid numbers and a smash at 146. Moving to the X, you can see club head speed absolutely identical there. Ball speed pretty much the same. Launch pretty identical as well, even though that was a slightly higher loft actually. Spin rate slightly lower actually with the X. You'd probably expect that to be slightly high, but then I did have that first one which I did pull sort of a little bit left, so obviously that's pulled my spin down. So probably would, out of multiple more shots, probably just edge a little bit higher than a Z, I would sort of say. Appreciate you watching the video as always, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.